Hello, welcome to this Parallels webinar today. My name is Paul Fisher. I'm a pre-sales engineer here at Parallels, based out of the UK. It's the 14th of February. The word love will be bandied around a lot today, and we wanted to get in on that action and show you a hybrid working solution that your IT teams and users will love to implement. Okay, just giving you a quick second there to swallow that cheese, and we'll move straight on into the agenda and have a look at what we're actually going to go through today. So remote work, it's here to stay. So we've been looking at some facts and figures and some surveys on why that's the case. And then we'll take a bit more of a deeper look at why Parallels RAS is a great solution for that remote working, enable remote working. And then we'll get into a live demo, and then we'll look at some next steps if you want to actually get your hands on, do some testing and look at it yourself. So as mentioned, we were looking at some surveys, and we picked out some key facts that 65% of employees would like to continue working from home full time, and this is obviously after COVID. It's had a really big impact on or enabling companies or requiring companies to allow employees to work from home. 58% of respondents would absolutely look for a new job if they couldn't continue remote working. That's quite a statement there that we need to look at and really take note of. 77% reported greater productivity while working from home or working off-site as well. So remote work is not just a need, but it's actually a want. It's a requirement really these days, and it can help us with talent attraction. And actually, we've seen that employees would opt for a lower paying job if they could work away from the office. And as we sort of previously saw on the previous slide, 58% said they would look for work elsewhere if they could not work from home. So it's not just attraction, but retention as well, which is kind of mentioned a little bit further on. Employee productivity. Organizations that have enabled remote working have seen an increase in employee productivity. And that backs up the fact on the previous slide of 77% saying they work better at home. Employee satisfaction. Organizations, again, that have enabled remote working have seen an increase in satisfaction. Again, backs up the previous slide of 65% wanting to continue to work from home. And that kind of sort of merges into employee retention as well. Communication tools, generally employees would like the latest and greatest. Don't want to be stuck on old ways. Want to be up to date with their sort of peers in other companies, etc. So why use a virtualization solution, and why indeed use remote application server? 24/7 business. So not only is that business continuity, but it's enabling easier or better working practices for employees. They can work in remotely, of course. They can work in the office. They can do half and half. They can go home, pick the kids up, and then carry on working and fulfill their kind of business hours. We can leverage cloud benefits, data security. That's a really key feature really of using a remote virtualized solution such as RAS, that we can really keep control of the data. The data is always within our own data centers, whether that's an on-premise data center or a cloud data center. We know where that data is, we can back it up, etc. And we can just stop data leakage. Market demands, we can meet market demands. We can respond in real time to planned events. And I think COVID again is a kind of great example. Companies that already had remote solutions could just switch and didn't really have any downtime. Kind of responded much more quickly to that kind of worldwide disaster. Really, that's what we can put COVID down as, I think. And just enables business mobility, as I say, so they can adapt if they're bringing on new or there's new acquisitions, bringing on new companies, we can quickly push out their IT infrastructure into new employees, etc. So let's have a look more at Parallels and who we are, just in case you've not heard too much about us. We're a global company, so we're present in 140 plus countries. We're very much channel led, so we have lots of channel partners that help us take our products to the market. We're trusted by 20% of the Fortune 500. We're lucky enough to have millions of business to consumer customers with some of our products, and business to business again, really fortunate and to have 50,000 plus and continually growing. Our product portfolio then looks like this. Starting over on the left-hand side, we've got Parallels Desktop for a Chrome OS. We also have Parallels Desktop for Mac, and really that's about delivering Windows applications and/or full desktops, kind of on the devices. So on the Chrome device or on the Mac device, and we can run those applications in parallel to the native applications, so the Mac applications or the Chrome, and that's actually where the name Parallels came from running the applications in parallel. And then we have the product that we're talking around today, which is slap bang in the middle there, Remote Application Server. Parallels Access gives you quick access to your desktop remotely anywhere. And then Parallels Toolbox, which gives you a set of powerful tools, whether it's Windows on a Mac, to just to help you with your day job, screen grabbing, printing, those sort of things. So RAS. RAS is short for Remote Application Server. It's an all-in-one VDI, remote desktop, remote application solution, and it's about delivering Windows applications and/or desktops to any device, anywhere, anytime. So we've got really good user experience on those devices, and we'll look into that a little bit more. Enhanced data security, of course. We can allow IT agility and business readiness. It's easy to deploy, configure, and maintain. That's a kind of key driver that we want to keep within Remote Application Server. It's always got to be easy to deploy and manage. And within that as well, we can reduce TCO. So yeah, user experience. So from any device, we can connect from a HTML5 browser, and within that we get things like bidirectional audio, fast logins, multitasking, flicking between different applications and desktops, quick keypad, got some accelerated file retrieval, Bluetooth mouse and trackpad support, native gestures on the mobile devices. That's more related to printing and scanning support, single sign-on, drag and drop, and a lot more, to add to that really as well. But we also have Parallels clients, so they are installed clients on various devices. So we've got Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Chromebook, etc. But the beauty of the HTML5 is you don't necessarily have to install anything on those devices. So great for if employees that are working from home want to use their own devices, perhaps they don't want to install any corporate software on their device, then they can go ahead, just get connected to their applications and desktops through that HTML5 browser. And of course, we'll show you more of this within the demo a little bit later. So looking at enhanced data security, as mentioned, really, we're centralizing that data, and that's the key thing. We're bringing or keeping control of that data within our data center, and that allows us better monitoring, backup. We can restrict the access and to certain users, and we do that through the policies in the middle here. So we can enforce policies to different groups of users, maybe where they're connecting from, how they're connecting, what device they're connecting, those sort of things, so we can limit the way they can copy data in and out, and they can maybe just copy data in but not out, or switch it off altogether. You can disable printing, all those sort of things. Encrypted protocols, so the way that users connect is of course always encrypted, and we can also support multi-factor authentication, smart card authentication, two-factor authentication as well. So I mentioned that remote application server is easy to deploy, configure, and maintain. These are some of the reasons why. So a lot of wizard-based deployment. We've got REST and PowerShell API. So if your IT teams want to do some automation or integrate with other systems that you might have, it's very easy to do with those APIs. We've got auto client configuration, auto provisioning and scaling. So if suddenly we have an influx of users wanting to work from home, a bit unexpected, I often give an example in the UK, at least, of when it snows, we can't drive in the snow, so we all want to work from home. So if that kind of event, something of that nature happens, suddenly there's more users, we can scale up to meet that demand. But what's probably more important is we can scale down when that demand drops, and that can be even more so or more evident in a cloud environment where we can really start to save some costs there. We've got multi-tenant support and a centralized management console. So that's important. We're doing all this management from the one location. So reducing TCO, we have an all-in-one license. So everything that we've talked so far about, and obviously I'll show you in the demo, is all included in the RAS license. So it means it's really flexible. There's no surprise add-ons. If you start with an on-premises deployment and you want to go to the cloud, you don't need a different license. There's no kind of additional cost. It's really up to you how you deploy. Reduce complexity, so we can make it really simple to have a highly available solution. Not a lot of infrastructure required, no centralized database, for example, and that just reduces that complexity, reduces the cost within the solution when we're deploying, and that can have a big impact on the total cost of ownership. And a big factor is our licensing is really cost effective compared to our competitors. So being cost effective, having that flexibility on how and where we can deploy and we can change, and that all-in-one license, all brought together, can really drive down costs of a remote desktop or remote application solution. So a quick scattergun at some more core capabilities, and these I'll talk a little bit more as we go through the demo as well. Of course, starting top left, the main capability is about delivering those applications and/or desktops, to any device, etc., anywhere, anytime. And we've got that HTML5 access, which makes it super easy. We've got mobile device access as well, with specifically install clients. We've got a multi-tenant architecture, built-in load balancing API that we mentioned. Session pre-launch, that's a really neat feature. So we can learn the user's habits and basically anticipate when they're going to launch a particular application or desktop, and go ahead and launch that for them, and that can save them kind of login time, I guess. Windows client management, we can turn, let's say, legacy or old PCs into thin client-like devices and provide better management on that, improve the login experience for users. We've got the client policies, that was what we mentioned earlier, that's core to managing user configuration, and that'll become a bit more clear in the demo. Support for Microsoft Azure, Azure Virtual Desktop as well. Multi-cloud ready, so it's not just Azure. We can support all the main cloud providers, AWS being the next, but we can support those too. Notifications and scripts, so we can monitor certain events, and we can attach scripts to that, so we can, based off those events happening, we can potentially provision more secure gateways or publishing agents, those sort of things if we needed to. Centralized management, auto provisioning and scaling, again mentioned. SAML support. We've got granular permissions, and that's referring to the console. And I'll explain a bit more about that in the demo. It'll be easier to understand. Multi-factor authentication, FSLogix profile containers, roaming profile management. Again, touch on that in the demo. Universal printing and automated image optimization. I'll talk more about that in the demo, and that is the next step. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at that demo now. Let's break out of the slides here, and we'll start our demo. Okay, the plan with the demo is to start from a user perspective. So we'll look at what it looks like from a user logging in, getting access to their desktops or applications. We'll start with the HTML5 client and then move to the Parallels client. In this case, I'm running on a Windows device, so we'll look at the Windows client. And then I've got a diagram just to show you what I connected to, just so we can understand that. It's a fairly standard, fairly typical deployment. And then we'll have a look at the administrator console, have a look around there, and I'll highlight certain features and functions there. Okay, so this is the HTML5 client, completely brandable. We can have multiple themes, many themes. So if you've got lots of different customers connecting to your environment, we can theme them for those. We can change the look and feel, logos and everything. So yeah, I'm going to log in here with a demo account. So being a demo account, we've got access to lots of different desktops, different VDI desktops, and I'll talk a little bit more about those types of desktops that we can support shortly. But there's some GPU enabled ones as well. And we can go back here and we can see lots of applications deployed as well. So I'm going to start with the applications, and I'm going to right click and say open in HTML5. Now I've done that because during login it checked to see if I've got the Windows client installed, which I have. So by default, if I double click on the LibreOffice writer there, it would launch with the Parallels client here. But I'll come back to that. I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. And as you can see, it's actually connected to an existing session that I'd already got open. So here's LibreOffice, and what's kind of important here is we're just presenting the application to the user, but they have the ability to launch more applications. They can come back to here, click through, look for applications, or they can just simply search for their application. And again, I can launch that HTML5. It's already launched for me at the moment. It's down there, but yeah, the user's got the ability to multitask, flick between the different applications, different windows, different documents perhaps that are within a certain application or different windows there, so they can multitask. Of course, we can launch full desktops through the browser. So let's go back to desktops. We'll go with session-based VDI, which is a Windows 10 looking desktop, but it's off in this case a 2019 server. But it's made to look and feel like it's Windows 10 there. Something I'm sure we've all seen many times. We do have this toolbar here on the right hand side, so I can go full screen. We can upload and download files. Got access to shortcuts, some clipboard support there as well. But we can just copy and paste kind of in and out of the application directly. So I can go and grab some more text. Yeah, so if I go down to a local application, which is Notepad, that's running on my PC, copy that text. I can copy it directly into the desktop, into the application, running up there through Parallels. So I copy it directly, and as we'll see, it's also available there. So there's also the universal printing support through the browser here, through the HTML5 client, bidirectional audio as well. But another option we can give to users is the Parallels client, and this is the same across whether they're connecting from iOS or Android, etc. They can connect to their environment. So here you can see we're connected to the same environment, so the same desktops are available to me, same applications. But now users, or indeed administrators, can do this as well. They can force this. They can say, well, yeah, we want this application. We'll put my favorite here, Notepad++. I want that on my desktop. I want easy access to that. And I'm always connecting to this as my main desktop. So we'll create that shortcut there as well. Now the applications are also available in the Start menu, so they're integrating in with the Start menu. So if I look for Libre Writer, spell it right, we can see we've got LibreOffice Writer there. So that's not installed locally, that is a RAS published application. And if I search for VDI, you see the different desktops are also available. So I could launch them directly from there. I could also launch them, of course, directly from the application here, but users don't necessarily have to do that. They can just come straight to their application shortcut on the desktop, and it opened up on my other screen, so just drag it over. We can see here the desktops, the application has loaded, and it looks like it's running locally, and you can just make out the little Parallels logo there to show you that it's a remote application. And then, of course, there's more features available to us now, with drive redirection, not just the clipboard, universal printing, scanning, bidirectional audio again, camera redirection, and a lot more as well. I'm not going to go into all the details of those. And the other thing we can do is file association. So you can see here I've got a text file essentially, but I've given it a file extension of RAS text, and I've associated that with my published application here. So I just close that down and then double click on my file, which is sitting on my desktop. It will then open up Notepad and display that text file, and I can go ahead and edit it and save it as normal. So that's file association. We can also drag and drop files as well. So if I've got a text file, any text file, I could, it supports Notepad++ supports, I could drag and drop it on there as well. And just to complete this side of the demo, I double click on my session-based VDI. You can see this time it's loading full screen. It's the same desktop that we connected to earlier. But we can do things like resize, and it'll dynamically change the resolution for us rather than kind of stretching it. And okay, so let me close down that desktop. Now I just wanted to take a look at kind of what we've been connecting to there, just to put that into a bit of perspective. My lab is based out of Azure. And it looks a lot like this. So, over on the left-hand side, we've got the users, connecting over the internet through various firewalls, etc. And we are going to start in the middle here. So we've got these secure gateways. The secure gateways provide two things: the HTML5 portal that we saw, and also it's just general security is provided by those. So all connections are over 443 and encrypted. Whether that's the web traffic or actually the RDP connection. There are other security features in there, denial of service attack filters as well. So yeah, that's all handled by those secure gateways. Moving right, we've got these PAs, which is short for publishing agents. That's really the core component, core service within Remote Application Server. It's responsible for lots of things there. So from initial authentication, if you want to include two-factor authentication or SAML authentication, we can look at who the user is, group membership, maybe what location they're connecting from, what device they're connecting from, what operating system type, maybe the MAC address. And actually we can combine all those things together to really apply additional security. So we're making sure it's this user connecting from this known device and this location. Okay, now you can get access to your particular desktop or application. And I guess it's just where we do that day-to-day management. So whether we're setting up the templates, whether we're kind of creating new access for new users, publishing new applications. It's all handled there. Now over on the right hand side, these are basically what I refer to as the back-end infrastructure. This is where we can publish applications and desktops from. So starting at the bottom, we've got the RD session hosts. And really, that's the most cost-effective way of delivering applications and desktops. We've also got support for VDI in terms of its Windows 7 through to Windows 11. And we can have different pools of those different desktops, VDI desktops. And then also we have remote PC support, something we've seen really explode in usage during COVID. And it's about importing physical PCs into RAS and then providing that remote access so users can connect back to that PC that's sitting under the desk, that they might not have had access to when they initially had to work from home. Now they can get that easy, secure access and potentially without a VPN. So really, really easy for the users to set up and use their own devices and things as well. Okay, so let's go and take a look at the administrator console. So if I minimize that, bring up the console here. So I've already logged in. I'm looking at a farm, looking at a particular site. We can have multiple sites. So that opens up opportunities to have perhaps, DR scenarios, perhaps you've got multiple on-premise data centers, or one that's on premises and one that's in the cloud. So we can support those different scenarios. I'm going to start looking at some of the cloud options. So if I come down here to Azure Virtual Desktop, AVD as we shorten it to, here you can see we've already got some stuff set up, but if we were starting afresh, we can click on this new wizard, create new wizard, and put in our Azure subscription details. We go next, and as we go through the wizard, it's basically going to set up the workspaces for us, host pools. We can define templates, and actually we provide our templating logic, something that we brought over from on-premises VDI and session host management. We'll have a little bit of a look at that in a second. But yeah, we can easily manage templates. We can easily create new ones. Again, it's wizard driven. So I've clicked on add new here, create new. We can create a multi-session template or a single session. We can choose from the existing hosts that we might have already. So if you've got a predefined host already set up applications on there, great. We can make use of that. Or we can just head over to the Azure Gallery, choose the latest Windows 10 multi-session version, which might include Office 365 apps, and that can be our base point and start from there. Of course, we can add more applications, our own applications to it, etc. as well. And once we've gone through that, it'll then appear in the templates list here, and we can have as many templates as required. And obviously we can get further management of that by right-clicking. We can put it in maintenance mode, for example, which powers it on. We can then just connect to it all from this console. We can make that connection and then update it, add any or update any existing applications, bring it out of maintenance mode. At that point, it might say, do you want to recreate the host? And you can either choose to do that now, or you can do it at a later date. So yeah, I've just got a couple of hosts here because I do have auto scaling enabled, and if I go back to host pools, double click on that, come to the auto scaling section. Again, very easy. We just checkbox enable it. I'm not going to go into all the details of all these settings, but basically I've got it set so as utilization hits a certain percentage, it will create more hosts for me. But what's probably more important is we can drain and remove those hosts and also delete them. And we can look at the percentage when that triggers. The utilization drops to a certain percentage, and then we can either wait for a while before we act upon that, or we can do it immediately. And as I say, then we can also delete those hosts as well. So you can really keep better control over the costs. So while we might want to allow it to scale up, we also want it to scale down and manage those costs for us. While we're here, can highlight user profile management. We can integrate in and manage user profile disks, and more commonly used now FSLogix. And again, we just make it really easy to deploy FSLogix, enable it, provide a few settings here, basic settings, basic requirements for it. You can get into some advanced features as well. But what's really nice is it'll look at the template. Is FSLogix installed? No. Okay. We can download it from either online or from a file share, the latest version of FSLogix, and push that out to the host and configure it based upon the settings that we have defined here. So again, making that easy to deploy. And we can see the hosts. And obviously we've got power management, more management over those hosts. So we could start and stop them, reset them, recreate them. Further tools here to help with management. We can look at connect to the service management, restart services if we need to, those sort of things. And we can see sessions here that are, in this case, associated just to AVD workloads. I'll talk a little bit more about sessions in a minute. We'll look at the aggregated view here on the left, which shows sessions across not just AVD, also VDI and session host. But if we come to VDI here, here we can create multiple providers. Those providers can be on-premise providers, where we can support VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix, and also Scale from a hyperconverged solution point of view. And we've also got cloud computing support there. And then once you've added your provider in, whether that's on-premise or cloud, like I've got set up here, we can then do some further management. So we can again create templates, whether that's a Windows 11 template like I've got here, Windows 10, Server 2019, so session host, and of course from those templates. And it all works in the same way as AVD. We can put it into maintenance mode, etc. We can see the desktops that are associated. And again, we can bring up the right-click menu and do various tasks, start, stop them, reset them. Familiar tools now. Delete, recreate. Again, view the sessions there that are just related just to VDI. And then looking at session hosts, this is the list of session hosts that I have enabled or configured. I've got just 2 on switched on at the moment. We can break those out into groups, whether we want to then associate a template and again get into all those auto scale settings, so we can do the same sort of thing, same cloud features that we can do and make easier even within the cloud. We can do that on premise as well. And we've got a user profile management there as well. So yeah, let's go and look at these sessions then. So clicking here, we can see sessions across all the different sources. So I can sort it by anything that I want here. I can sort by the sources, the state. And we can also give this console out to help desk engineers, along with obviously the web console as well. But here we can provide delegated permission, so they can help desk engineers can only do this certain function, and that might be sort of managing the users, looking after the users. So if you've got a list of hundreds or thousands of users, we can quickly find the user that we want. So here it's filtering on my surname, Fisher. So it's looking for just a part of that information within there, but we can search across any of these columns. So maybe it's device name that we want to look at, those sort of things to find the user. We can do that. And yeah, if we find an active session, right click, bring up that menu. Again, we've got some various tasks that we can perform. We can log the users off, send them messages, remote control them, shadow them. So if they've got any issues with applications, we can, or the help desk engineer maybe can take control, look at the same thing the user's looking at and assist that way. We can see processes, kill off processes if we need to. And then we can also drill down into further information, such as session information, login duration. It'll actually highlight what might be causing any delays. And using the sort up here, we can sort users by login time, for example, and that might highlight that a certain group of users, or maybe just an individual user's got slow login, and then we can drill down into to try and identify what that might be. We got further session information, the path on which they're connecting through to the desktops or applications. User experience evaluator. So what does what's the latency look like? What protocol they're using? Estimated bandwidth. Has there been any issues? So here we can see that there's been a disconnect and it's due to a network error. So just more information, and the more information we've got, the more proactive we can be around supporting our users, identifying any issues. As I say, we can sort by that login duration, but also we might want to look at latency. Are there any users who've got really high latency? And again, reach out proactively to help them. And then coming down here, this is where we set up publishing, so we configure any new desktops or new applications that users might want to get access to. I'll just highlight this tab here. These are the filtering, so we can look at who the user is, group membership, the device name that they're connecting from, the operating system type, the subnet, the client MAC address, maybe what gateway, so we can have internal, external gateways perhaps. And we can combine all those together to make, just to really apply additional security in ensuring the users are getting access to the right or relevant desktops and applications. And then moving on down, we'll highlight the policies. So here we can manage all the client configuration. So by client configuration, what I mean is if I bring up the client here, and if we right click, go to connection properties, there's a lot of settings in here, a lot of advanced settings that most users might not even know what they mean, want to look at, etc. So we can take that management off them as administrators ourselves and make that easier. So we could, we could look at the performance settings, tweak those, find a standard for the users. But the other side of it might be security. We might want to control certain groups of users, how they are, or what access they've got to the clipboard. Is it disabled completely? Is it both directions? Is it just client to the server or server to client? So that, plus drive redirection, file transfer, maybe even go as far as printing. We don't want anyone printing anything out, any data, any documents out, so we can control all of that from these policies. And then finally, we also have monitoring and reporting. So monitoring is looking by default over the last hour. It's looking at a number of sessions that we've got during that period and the utilization of the various desktop servers that the users have connected to in that period of time. So we could just monitor our certain servers getting really busy at particular times of the day. If we haven't got auto scaling on, that allows us just to monitor that. Maybe we decide, we'll add another server or desktop or whatever is needed into the pool to support that. And then reporting is looking at session activity for sort of all users, for individual users, application usage by users. There's also applications in general, and that's a really useful report we see because you might have this template management, but with lots of applications on there. However, you may find from that report that actually there's a handful here that are not being used, so we can drop that from support. We don't need to update that. Maybe even if there's licensing cost associated with that, we can claw some revenue back, with that application. And we can also create custom reports. So down here I've created a few, just example ones of sessions per month and some various graphs, etc., or a user audit log, which is basically users logging in, logging off, going idle. So lots of information in there. We can format that to our requirements. We can export it to nice formats that we can email around, And we can also schedule that so that the emails are sent out to management, etc., on a weekly, monthly basis, whatever we need. Okay, so that's it from the demo perspective. Let me head back to my PowerPoint slides and make that full screen again. Okay, so the key takeaways then really is, hopefully you've seen that we can provide, or RAS can provide, seamless remote work or access for users connecting remotely. But what's really quite key is that's secured in multiple ways. By sort of keeping all the data within our data center where we know where it is, and also all the connectivity, authentication, is all secured. We can provide additional security when it comes to multi-factor authentication, that filtering that really ensures the correct user is getting access to the right applications, those sort of things. So yeah, we're providing just application access or full desktop access, whatever makes sense for you, and whether that's from on-premise deployment or data center, or whether that's in the cloud or both. And that just enables this hybrid working model of users connecting from home or from the office, and better suiting the employee in this new age that we find ourselves in. So if you're interested in learning more, there's a few tools here and a few resources here. So go ahead, get your phone out, scan the QR code there. That will take you to our trial download, where you can start your own proof of concept. Of course, if you want any additional help, get in touch with us. We're here to help you get up and running really quickly. There is a trial over in Azure and AWS. So if you go to the marketplaces, you can search in there, and within minutes really from there you'll be up and running with already published applications and desktops connecting and testing, or you can trial in your own data center, basically, of course. Okay, that leaves me to say thank you very much. Thank you for attending, watching this webinar. Hope you found the information useful. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you.